Recording in progress. So I'm talking to Sina Iten. She is the founder of Thymica. And well, can you just tell us what makes Thymica interesting? What is it?
Well, Thymica is basically a new concept. The concept of Thymica is organizing retreats. And mostly I do organize those with retreat centers or just places out in the nowhere, which have something to offer, which you use in your day to day, but also allows you to work from these places. So you can think of it as a retreat. I guess everybody knows what more or less a retreat is, where you go out. Let's say, for example, a yoga retreat. You go to this place and you do yoga every day. You leave your day to day behind. Maybe it's even offline, or a meditation retreat where you're meditating for several hours. There are also sports retreat, you name it. There are plenty of them. And Thymica organizes these intreats, which the main concept of a retreat is probably more or less the same, except that we are taking our work, we are taking our day to day life with us. If you are able to work remote and you have your 9 to 5 job, you're taking your 9 to 5 job to the Intreat and you work while before, during, and after you enjoy the benefits of a retreat. And you combine your life with the retreat. So you learn a lot of new things. And normally with a retreat, let's say it goes from Monday to Sunday, you gain all this positive energy, this new knowledge, and you feel zen and you feel peace and everything. And you come back on Sunday and you're home, and then the thought of Monday hits you. And you feel already overwhelmed, you don't know what to do, you Monday starts and you already forgot how zen you were the few days before. And this is basically what we want to prevent happening
Hmm.
with an retreat.
It sounds like you don't want to leave the retreat behind. It
Yeah,
sounds like what you want to do is take the retreat with you into your life instead of take your life with you into the retreat.
that's exactly what we want. I mean, we want to show everyone that it's possible to have this zen mode also when you're working. You don't need to escape life from your work just to feel nice and good and happy. You can do it, but we just often don't know how. And I often went to retreats, and I really, really love these retreats. And I definitely think they are super necessary. But what for me often a point was this Monday, this phase where I come back, and sometimes it lasts 3 days, but latest after 3 days, I felt back in this, yeah, maybe stressful, maybe
Rhythm.
anxiousness. Yeah, you're just back in this day to day. And with an retreat, you learn everything that you learn in this retreat, how to use it in your day to day. And it can be, I mean, there are different retreats. It can be from cold plunging, breath work, how this helps, to Ayurvedic guidance, to nutrition, to sports. For everyone, different things are needed. Not everyone loves the same, not everyone goes to the same retreats. So it's also not every time the same retreat. But you just should learn something that you take home. And whenever Monday comes and you're back on your desk and you're back on this Monday feeling, you should be able to remember of this good feeling you had the past week.
And bring it with you.
Exactly.
So, who are the people that benefit most from this idea of an intreat? Like, who are the people who either benefit from this or need this the most or want this the most? Who are the people who sign up for an intreat?
Basically, everyone that is able to work remote. It doesn't mean that you need to be able to work remote your whole life. It just requires this one, or depending on the intreat, 1 or 2 weeks where you can work from the intreat place on. And everyone who is open to learn new things, everyone who who doesn't want to feel this hit me Monday feeling anymore, and everyone who wants to learn something new and have this good feeling inside of you, I guess.
And find a way to build it into their schedule and their routine.
Exactly.
I've worked a lot with like habits and helping people to, I don't know, like adapt new habits or like take on more healthy habits. And something that I've noticed is, yeah, it's really hard to start new habits.
Yeah.
One thing is like you have the excitement of the first day or two, or like when you buy the new running shoes and the new shorts, and you get all excited about it, and maybe that thrill keeps you going for a while. But at some point, like your life before you started running starts to like seep back in. And those earlier habits of coming home after work and watching TV or sitting down on the sofa and eating popcorn at 5 p.m. or something, like those habits are stronger and they take over the idea of going running. So that it can be really hard to like let a new habit hold long enough to sort of swallow the previous habits.
Mhm.
So, from what I've spoken to you about the Intreats, is getting away from your normal life is also makes it easier to sort of create new habits outside of that realm so that they can build up enough momentum and then like continue when you get back to your normal life.
Yeah.
What are some of the habits that people acquire in the Intreats?
I mean, it's completely different for each and everyone who is attending an Intreat, right? So everyone goes with another expectation to an Intreat. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what your day to day was before, as long as you're allowing yourself to be fully in the Intreat. And you should have this stressful day, even in an Intreat, because there are people who can show you how to get out of it easier, how to disconnect easier. And it's not just you, right? There are Intreats are always in groups. So from 6 to 10, sometimes 12 people are together. And besides the experts we have in each of the Intreats, you also have a group, and everyone at the end of the day wants to have more peace inside of themselves during their day to day work. So for me, what I realized is when I started doing this for myself is whenever I came back, and I'm not saying it will not happen again, but you already had this experience once where you're at the desk and you feel like, oh, your anxiousness and your stress level and your nervous system, just everything goes high. But then you remember on this specific day where you were in the Intreat, and it could be just a word or a sentence someone told you, it could be an exercise one of the experts gave you, whatever it is. But this is the goal of it, that you go home, and whenever it would happen, that you have this nice memory, and with this memory you have a feeling inside of you that made you calm down.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, and this is basically the whole concept of the Intreat.
And how did you come up with this concept? Where did it come from?
Well, to keep it short, for the past few years, I'd say I was traveling a lot, and I met so many different people, super inspiring, coming from yoga teachers to meditation to nutritionists to sport guidance, breathwork, so many things I didn't know they exist, and I didn't know how they can help you. And I finished my travels, and I ended up in Barcelona, where I could work for a company which allowed me to work from all over Spain. So I went to my friend's house in Ibiza for several, sometimes just days, sometimes weeks, and we ended up kind of doing these kind of intreats with the knowledge all these people from my travels gave me, but unconsciously. So we started our day without our phones. We went to the beach, we did a meditation, we came back, we did 4 or 5 hours of deep work session. We put
Deep
our
work session meaning like working from
on
your
our laptops.
computer. Okay.
Exactly. Like for the company we were hired at this time. Um, and then we did a lunch break again, like fully disconnecting. We once we did breathwork sessions, sometimes we did meditation, sometimes we just went for walks. We had talks, and then again we did another few hours of deep work sessions, and then in the evening again we did something which fully calmed us down. And every single time with other things that I've learned from the people from my travels. And what after we did that for 1 week fully unconsciously, I came back and I was like, wow, this really hit me. Like, it was so easy there, how can I be so stressed here? And then I just started remembering what we did then, like going for walks in the morning, doing this exercise. Oh, this person told me this once. And I realized how easy it is to implement it in your day to day, but sometimes it's so hard to learn something new when you're always in the same place. I mean, we could probably do an Intreat also while you're staying in your house, but it's not the same. It's not as easy as it is when you really attend an Intreat. You meet these people, everyone has the same goal, fully different people, fully different ages, fully different backgrounds, but then you go home and everyone at the end of the day has the same goal. And everyone has, hopefully, a very good memory in their heart, knowing that whenever the stress hits you again, whenever this fast life hits you again, that you can remember back on what you did the week prior.
Hmm. Yeah. It's like building skills of how to manage. I mean, you could say work or life or stress or anxiety in
Maybe all
a,
of it at once.
yeah, in a healthier way with the skills that you learned during the retreat. So here's where our collaboration comes in because this summer you'll be doing an Intreat at the Arctic Hideaway, which is what I help manage. So I can share some details about what makes the Arctic Hideaway an ideal spot for this, but can you tell me what the goal is for, let's say, because the Arctic Hideaway isn't the only one that you're doing, right, for
Yeah.
the coming months. You have a couple of different ones. Can you tell me what the other ones are?
So one that is coming up in May is in Mallorca. There we are working with a Ayurvedic retreat center. It's called Ayurvila, and I've also attended this place once for a retreat, and that's how the whole collaboration came up because I felt super good and so relaxed after this retreat that I asked them to do an Intreat with me, where they super easily, immediately said yes, of course. Uh, it's it's basically uh, Ayurveda. Everyone who knows Ayurveda knows it's all about this feeling. I mean, Ayurveda is a lifestyle, so it's from nutrition to massages to yoga to meditation. There is a lot of guidance in that. And in mid May, we're gonna be spending there 1 week, where we go from daily yoga to this very good food that they are making us every day, to cooking classes, to Ayurveda workshops, meditation, and yeah. So this is one in May, and then in June we will do the Arctic Hideaway.
And what is the Arctic Hideaway focusing on?
Well, the Arctic Hideaway basically is a place, I would say, to escape first, to be in peace, to enjoy nature, to fully reset. I think once you arrive there, you're just taken over by this insane peace it gives you. The Arctic Hideaway is on a very, I mean, probably you will explain it later, but in this tiny island, where definitely no cars are, not a lot of people, there is not much going on. So you're in your own zone, just with a couple of other Intreat people and the few people who live there. And it's all about finding focus, enjoying the cold water and some warm sauna, doing some breathwork sessions, and also focusing on the community, having breakfast together, cooking dinner together. And the difference from the Arctic Hideaway to the others is also that it's 2 weeks. Well, you can come for just 1 week, but we recommend to come 2 weeks. So you will really, you're not just coming and you're going again, but you really will feel the island of the north.
Yeah, the island sort of takes hold of you in a way. I've noticed that when people come to the island for only 1 week, it always feels too short, which for most vacation destinations, it isn't like that. You're ready to go after a certain period of time, but yeah, it's like time stops and speeds up all at the same time. So
You.
how is a normal day in one of these retreats? Like what's the schedule? Do you want to give me an example of the schedule at the Arctic Hideaway, how those days will go?
I mean, for like in general, every single entry is different. As I mean, on you can see the schedule on the website, but like for the Ayurveda we do, for example, it's morning yoga, deep work session, lunch, etc. So it's more planned, because you also have like these massages one on one, etc. And with the Arctic Hideaway, as especially that we are in this calm place of this island and we want to enjoy the nature as much as possible, and as you said, you arrive there and you're just taking in by it, right? Like you're just there. The schedule will not be as much planned, so we have two experts in the Arctic Hideaway who will do with us some cold plunging and sauna. They would do breathwork session, but it would be more on the day to day.
More flexible
So
according to
excellent.
the weather, the tides, the light.
Exactly. So we go with what nature gives us at this moment. We, of course, have different things planned, we have different things set up, but at the end of the day, in the Arctic Hideaway, we will focus on nature. There's every day a possibility to jump in the sea. There is also every day possibility to join a good sauna, but it will not be as scheduled from
It's
7 to
structured.
9. Yeah. Yeah.
And people will still be working like, do they work 8 hours a day from their computers? Is that time scheduled in, or is there some flexibility there?
I mean, at the end of the day, every single person can decide themselves how long they're gonna work. But this is in all of the intreats. Like, if it's super scheduled or not, you are the one who decides how much you want to work and how much you don't want to work. Normally, we always make sure that we have planned at least 6 hours a day
For working.
for you for working, exactly. If you use these full 6 hours, or one day you're like, today I just want to work 4 hours, this is up to you. But in the intreats, we make sure, because we all have our day to day, and I think most people work between 7 and 8 hours or 7 and 9 hours a day. So we have this window of 6 hours fixed in every intreat we do. Yeah.
And aside from the no cars and no people, I guess, what does this island have to offer? Like, what activities can people do if they're not working? Do you know?
I mean, if you're not working, I mean, for we were talking about this for so many times, and you told me every single time people come there and they have on their list to read a book, and then they go and they haven't read their book. So I don't think you will ever get bored besides working anyway. But there are also this island is known for artists, so often artists come to this island, and there's one artist. Please help me. His
Are,
name.
Are
Are.
Andreasen.
Exactly. And he would also do some workshops with us. Also with his wooden artwork he does, right? You call it wooden artwork? Yeah.
He does printmaking with lino cuts and also with carving into wood. So I don't know
Okay,
if people are familiar with that, but it's like a kind of almost like clay type paper that you can carve into with certain tools. And then you paint over the top, and so that when you put paper over it, it comes out with a print.
which is a very meditating activity.
Meditative. Yeah, because it requires a lot of like small detailed cuts. It's almost like doodling. You know how doodling, you just sit there with a pen and make like tiny little scribbles. And you keep like going and going and going with these tiny little scribbles until the whole page is filled. Lino cut is a little bit like that because if you don't cut anything into the picture, it just comes out black. You just have one black or whatever color of paint it is. So every cut that you make into the picture, into the clay paper, is what becomes the white line. So if you want to create like white space, you have to make all of these tiny small cuts, but they're textured. So yeah, it's a lot of small, slow movements that just create an image at the end.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. I think there's something about the island that slows time down a lot. So for me, something that I think people would go home with after this Intreat is like a sense of time has finally slowed down. I feel like we're always looking for ways to slow time down. We're always like, I feel like that, like, how did the whole day pass or how did the whole week pass? And you do feel like that at the island, but there's all these ways where we try to force you to slow time down again. So one of the things that I think is an interesting aspect that I've been having discussions with the founder, Hovard, about Hovard Lund, is that he doesn't like to put labels on anything. He doesn't want to put labels even on the spice jars, which this is where the discussion has come in because I think, well, we need to label the spices. But in like the pantry where all of the food is kept, he doesn't want to label like this is the baking supplies, this is the you just have to go in there and look and smell and like look at the textures and it might take you longer to find that the potatoes are in the lower drawers or something. So you could have labels everywhere to make it quicker, but it's like, why have we made life so quick? And people keep like bringing up, why don't you have like some sort of a railing on going on the path going up to the kitchen? Because it can get slippery at certain times of year. But it's like, if there's a railing, you're more likely to kind of like scuttle along quickly. And that's like the best opportunity to see northern lights, to see the midnight sun, to get stuck in a rainstorm like on your way to the bathroom. Everything is outside going from one place to another. So you're just forced to like look at your feet, go slower, like stop and look at the sky, be in sort of awe with what's around you, hear the birds, hear the ocean, hear the tides. Like it does slow things down. And so you don't necessarily notice that it's happening there, but when you come back to your normal life, it's like, oh, like I want to bring that with me. I want to like bring that time slowing down with me. And it's a hard thing to figure out how to do unless you've gone somewhere that sort of like forced it upon you.
I can't wait to go.
Yeah, I've been thinking about what makes an Intreat so special about this location. And I do think, like, I've been telling people that every time I go to the island, I've been there maybe 8 times now. Every time I come back with something new. And it's not just me, I like start spreading it to my friends and family too. So they're all now baking bread instead of buying it and even baking crackers instead of buying crackers. And my sister built like an outdoor shower in her house by so that she could like be outside for the shower. And I now have an office space that like you have to go outside to get to so that you have to go out in the rain and you have to like put on your shoes and build a fire in the fire pit so that like the days are not only about the hours that you worked, but about all of those little routines and sort of like time grabs that happen in between. But they're like life. They're part of life.
I'm fully there. You got me.
I think it's a really good collaboration, these two
Yeah,
things together. Because I
yeah.
do think also having, we bring in a lot of artists because what they do is they work on their art while they're there. But we're also looking to bring in people that aren't just artists. On one hand, because I think it can be really useful to other kinds of people. It's like, do you only want people who are like dialed into this kind of life? Are those the only people we want to invite in? Or do we want people who are kind of like not used to that kind of thing and are going to be in a little bit of shock and have to go through this like cultural shock of what happens when you get to the island and suddenly there are no shops, there are no restaurants, there's no few people to even cross paths with when you're out taking a walk. Like it can be alarming to your soul at first, but you quickly get used to it. So bringing in people who aren't living that lifestyle normally, who are used to maybe a more fast-paced corporate lifestyle, is kind of an experiment. We want to see like how that will play out, and I think it will be like a kind of art in itself what comes out of that. I think it will be like a beautiful thing.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's also something, there are a bit of two worlds collapsing into each other. And then again, it's just what you yourself are making out or taking out of it. And I think for everyone who can work remote and who is living this very past or very fast living life all the time, it will definitely do good to have the laptop and be in this fast life, but then close the laptop and be in this very calming surroundings. So I can't wait to see everyone doing that.
Calming and communal. Because I think that's another aspect of when you work remote. I've been working remote for a long time now. And there's an aspect of it that's a little bit isolating
Yeah,
because
definitely.
you kind of have to isolate yourself in order to be really focused on your job.
Yeah,
So if you're surrounded by a lot of people, it's really distracting.
yeah,
But being able to surround yourself with other people who are also focused and who are also capable of like closing the laptop and then laughing, taking walks, like jumping in the freezing cold sea and sweating in the sauna side by side. Like there's this communal aspect that's sort of good for the soul.
yeah, definitely.
I do think uh, it's interesting also how like who you are. Like what brought you to even take that trip or travel so much? What do you think is interesting about you that made you create this?
What made me this person? I think honestly, it's every single one I met during my travels. Not just during my travels, maybe also how I grew up and how individual and different my whole family and friends and people I'm surrounded. It's from from I nearly every profession to every single mindset probably. Um, and especially now living abroad and being also surrounded by a lot of expats, I think this was the main struggle that a lot of people were having. But also, when I think back of before I went traveling while working, I often realize how fast I am in this bubble of work, and how much important I gave to work, with knowing that I love what I do. Like always, I love this fast life, and I love to work a lot and to do things right. And sometimes when you love something so much, you kind of forget that it also takes a lot of energy.
Hmm.
And I think that's what brought me at the end of the day, or which gave me the push to be starting with this all. Because I often then I don't care if I do it on the weekends, or I don't care if I do it until 9 because I'm having fun. I like what I'm doing. And then you do that for a certain amount of time and you lose track on it, and then you feel tired, and the next day you feel tired, and you always have to remember, oh, today I didn't do my exercise, that's why I felt tired. Oh, today I had 5 coffees, but I'm still so tired. So it's just like this a lack of routine that sometimes just gets out of it. And I think I was always struggling with this word of work life balance, because when you really love what you're doing, is work also your life, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
combined, and you just need to know how to prevent this part of coming up where you are tired and you cannot do it anymore, and just to know how, what is the right thing for me to do, to still disconnect for lunch and in the evening to fully slow down and enjoy. So yeah, I think it's a mix of my own working habit. But then, of course, like every single person I met that just gave me all these tools, where I realized, wow, if you know that, and there is so many things I still don't know. And I'm always so impressed by everyone I meet who, it can be the fifth meditation teacher and he brings me something completely different I've never heard about. So yeah, I think it's just learning and implementing those things in my day to day. And yeah, does that all make sense what I'm just
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, it does.
Okay.
It makes me
Okay.
think that like I would want to sign up for multiple Intreats because it makes it feel like each one builds off of each other.
Absolutely. And that's, I have a friend and I pitched them my idea and they were like, but if this is such a, like, we believe the concept and we really like your concept, but don't you think people attend one and then they are so fulfilled in life that they're not coming back? And I was like, well, I mean, I'm not selling fulfillment first and foremost. Not at all. But I mean, if you're joining one Intreat and you feel like this is the tool I needed to at least have more balance in my life, then this is my goal. This is all I want, right? But I see myself that I learn a lot about Ayurveda and I enjoy it so much. And as I said, I went to these retreats and I love this place by heart. Um, and I learn stuff that up until this day I still use, like so many different things, like especially nutrition wise. I still cook the way they teach me there. But that doesn't mean that I'm not really a perfect candidate for the Arctic Hideaway, or we're planning another Intreat in Malta. So just it's so many different things, and I also feel like for you it could be the perfect place coming to the Arctic Hideaway, but for another person it is the Ayurvedic guidance that you need. And maybe you can combine it all together and then you have the
A
result.
lifestyle. In a way, it could become like sort of a lifestyle
Yeah.
of
And
building off of each other.
exactly. And I think these intreats are often also, it's not an escape from life. It's just to open you a new perspective of life.
Yeah.
And I think nobody ever just needed 1 week to have a fully new perspective on life.
That's true. I also think that like more and more we live in a very individual society. Like people are working remotely more, they're like spending days alone, people live alone more than they ever have, less with roommates, less with family. And I think that when you live alone and if you're not like partnered or something like that, traveling can sometimes be a little complicated. Like you don't really want to travel alone, but it's like you have to kind of know how to build your days so that they have some sort of interaction in them and they have some alone time because you also like are used to being alone a lot. And I think something that these kinds of retreats, intreats, mm, like workshops have to offer is you meet other people who are doing something really cool, who are like open to these kinds of ideas. So the conversations that take place are a little bit more open and vulnerable, and like you become instant friends more quickly. You like make stronger bonds and you leave with a community. You don't just leave with the skills you learned, but you leave with friends. You leave with almost like a family.
Yeah, yeah.
And I
And
think
you
a lot
learn
of people
so
need that.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think also if you make a connection and then you're going back to wherever you're based in and whatever your day to day is, this connection also connects you with what you learned there, what you've done there. So it's also about growing together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe you stay in touch and it sort of creates like a support group to help you keep those
Keep the
bits of,
balance.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I think that was a really great conversation.
I think so too.
Is there, well, can you tell us the website where people can find out more about Thymica
Yeah, so it's thymica.com. Um, I think we can link it under the channel.
in the notes? Yeah. But can you
Perfect.
spell Thymica for people who are
That's
unfamiliar with it?
okay. So it's Thymica.
Thymica. Thymica.com.
Yeah,
And you're
that's
the founder, Sina Iten.
exactly.
Great. Thank you for sharing your idea with all of us and thanks for coming. Bye, Sina.
Bye.